Here's a problem that someone submitted to us to solve. You're given this summation sigma over I of terms of the form I to the power k, where k is just a fixed integer whose value is greater than or equal to 1. So it's some constant. And I is what varies across the terms in this summation. I varies in this range. It's greater than 0 and it's less than n. And we need to express this summation in the theta notation. So we need to ascertain what the rate of growth of this function is. The first thing that we'll do is we'll exactly identify the values that I is taking. So we are given in this somewhat indirect form that I is greater than 0 and is less than n. Another way to say this is that I takes values starting from 1 and going up to n minus 1. So we'll write this as I varies from 1 to n minus 1. So we are taking the summation of I to the power k, where I varies from 1 to n minus 1. And if we open up this summation, the first term of this summation will be 1 to the power k. The second term of this summation will be 2 to the power k. The third term will be 3 to the power k, and so on. The very last term will be n minus 1 to the power k. So this is obviously some function of n. So let me write this as t of n here. So let's say that t of n is given to be this summation, and upon opening the summation we find that t of n is really the sum of these n minus 1 terms from 1 to the power k to n minus 1 to the power k. And we need to find out what is the asymptotic complexity of t of n. Let's first try to play around with individual terms to see what their rates of growth are. If you look at just this first term, 1 to the power k, this is nothing but a constant, it's just 1. So we can say that this term by itself is in theta of 1. 2 to the power k is also a constant, because 2 is a constant and k is given to be a constant integer greater than or equal to 1. So this is also in theta of 1. This term is also in theta of 1. What about the very last term? N minus 1 to the power k. Well, if we have to focus on the rate of growth of this term for large values of n, then we can guess that the rate of growth of n minus 1 to the power k will not be very different from the rate of growth of n to the power k, because for very large values of n and n minus 1 are approximately uh, similar. In fact, if we open up this this expression using binomial theorem, we're going to find that the very first term will be n to the power k. So the rates of the asymptotic complexity or the rates of growth of both these functions are going to be the same, and that is theta of n to the power k. This of course is n to the power k itself. N to the power k here will be the dominant term if we apply the binomial theorem to open up uh, this particular expression and write it as a series. So we have this series. The terms at the beginning are constants, and the terms at the very end grow at the rate of n to the power k. This also applies to the second last term. So um, the second last term here would be n minus 2 to the power k. And again, if we apply the binomial theorem to open up this expression, we'll find that the first term in the summation will be n to the power k. And that's what we expect, that the rate of growth of this will be n to the power k, because n minus 2 to the power k shouldn't be that different from n to the power k for large values of n. So this term also has a complexity of theta of n to the power k. The same applies to the third last term, which is n minus 3 to the power k. So clearly the terms are increasing in value and their asymptotic complexity is also increasing. We are starting with terms which are constants at the beginning, and we are ending with terms that are growing at the rate of n to the power k near the end of this summation. So what do we expect the overall complexity to be? Do we expect it to be theta of 1? Obviously not, because these terms are going to dominate over these constants. But do we expect the complexity to be theta of n to the power k? Well, it depends on how many of these terms have that complexity of n to the power k. If there are only a constant number of terms with a complexity of n to the power k, then we can say that the overall complexity of this series will be governed by those dominant terms. And because there are only a constant number of such dominant terms, the value, or what they will evaluate to when we simplify this expression, will be some constant times n to the power k. In other words, the constant coefficient associated with the highest power of n, which is k over here, will be such that it's just going to be a constant. So it's going to be some c times n to the power k. This will be the dominant term. But is this true? How many terms here will have an asymptotic complexity of theta of n to the power k? Well, we've seen that the last three terms have that. In general, if you take any n minus some constant and raise it to the power of k, this is going to have a complexity of theta of n to the power k, where c is some positive constant. Now let's look at the middle term. What about the middle term? The middle term will be approximately, so the middle term here will be, since I is varying from 1 to n minus 1, let's just say that the middle term will be the term where I is equal to n by 2, approximately. So the middle term then will be n by 2 to the power k. This can be written as n to the power k divided by 2 to the power k. Now, because 2 and k are constants, this 2 to the power k is also a constant. In other words, we can say that the middle term is some constant, which is 1 by 2 to the power k times n to the power k. So this is also going to be in theta of n to the power k. So we can see here that the entire right half of this series is going to have terms with a complexity of theta of n to the power k. So clearly there are more than just a constant number of terms having a complexity of theta of n to the power k. There are going to be at least n by 2 such terms, because if there are n minus 1 terms in total in this series, and if the right half is composed entirely of terms which have a complexity of theta of n to the power k, then their sum is going to be approximately, it's going to grow at a rate of approximately n by 2 times n to the power k, because there are n by 2 such terms, each growing at the rate of n to the power k. So we expect that the complexity of the right half will be a rate of growth equal to n to the power k plus 1. So this gives us some kind of a guess as to what we expect uh, T of n to grow at the rate of. We expect T of n to grow at the rate of about n to the power k plus 1. But let's try to prove this more formally. Uh, so we want to prove that T of n is in theta of n to the power k plus 1. And this may or may not be true at this stage. We haven't proven this formally. We just guessed based on the fact that the right half of this array seems to have a complexity of n to the power k plus 1. And even if there were n terms, even if every single term here had a complexity of n to the power k, still the complexity of the series would have been n to the power k plus 1, because then we would have had n times n to the power k. So let's try to first derive an upper bound. That is, let's try to first prove that T of n is in big O of n to the power k plus 1. Then let's try to prove that T of n is in big omega of n to the power k plus 1. And by proving both of these, we would have proven that T of n is in theta of n to the power k plus 1. So how do we prove that T of n is in big O of n to the power k plus 1? We want to derive an upper bound on T of n. So let's write T of n as 1 by 1 to the power k plus 2 to the power k plus so on till n minus 1 to the power k. Now if we want to derive an upper bound on T of n, we've already seen that if every single term here had been growing at the rate of n to the power k, then we would have expected the summation to grow at the rate of n to the power k plus 1. So let's actually modify this series to make it something larger. So let's replace 1 to the power k by n minus 1 to the power k. Let's replace 2 to the power k by n minus 1 to the power k. That is, let's take the last term and assume that every term in the series was as large as the last term. By doing so, we would be getting an upper bound on the original series. So if every term had been n minus 1 to the power k, then T of n would have been less than or equal to the resulting series, which would evaluate to, because there are n minus 1 terms, this would have evaluated to n minus 1 times n minus 1 to the power k, which is n minus 1 to the power k plus 1. So T of n would have been less than or equal to n minus 1 to the power k plus 1. Now n minus 1 to the power k plus 1 is a polynomial in n. Again, we can use the binomial theorem to open this up into individual terms, but we know that the first term or the dominant term of this polynomial is going to be n to the power k plus 1. So we can say that T of n is going to be bounded from above by some constant multiple of n to the power k plus 1. If you recall our videos on how we determine uh, how we show that a polynomial of n is going to have a complexity that is theta of the dominant term, which is n to the power the degree of the polynomial. The way we proved that formally was by assuming values for the constant coefficients that were larger than and smaller than the values that we had in the polynomial itself, and thereby we proved an upper and a lower bound. So assuming that you've seen those videos, we can say that T of n is going to be bounded from above by some constant multiple of n to the power k plus 1. In particular, if we choose this constant to be 2, then we can show that this function is going to be less than or equal to 2 times n to the power k plus 1. And I leave the details to you as an exercise. You can just open this up and you can take the dominant term on the right hand side. So the dominant term here is n to the power k plus 1. When you take it on the right hand side, this 2 times n to the power k plus 1 minus n to the power k plus 1 will be just n to the power k plus 1. And we can easily show that n to the power k plus 1 will be greater than or equal to a polynomial where the terms are purely terms of the form n to the powers k minus 1 and so on. Basically, the powers of n will all have degrees less than k plus 1. So clearly, um, this inequality is going to be valid. So based on this, we can say that because t of n is bounded from above by a constant multiple of n to the power k plus 1, t of n is in big O of n to the power k plus 1. So to derive an upper bound on t of n, what we did was we assumed that every term in the series is as large as the last term, and we showed that the resulting series would have a rate of growth that is proportional to n to the power k plus 1. This means that t of n is in big O of n to the power k plus 1, because this series is an upper bound on t of n. And if this series is growing at the rate of n to the power k plus 1, then t of n must be big O of n to the power k plus 1. This does not show in itself that t of n is in theta of n to the power k plus 1, because this series could be growing polynomially larger than t of n for all we know. So we can't assume that t of n is in theta of n to the power k plus 1. We can only conclude from this that n to the power k plus 1 is an upper bound on the rate of growth of t of n. Now let's try to show that n to the power k plus 1 is also a lower bound on t of n. And to do that, we're going to again draw some hints from here, where we saw that when we were exploring individual terms of the series, we saw that starting from the middle term, or maybe even a few terms before the middle term, we don't know, let's just ignore that, but at least focusing on the right half of this series, we could see that every term here has an asymptotic complexity of n to the power k. So if we were to just focus on the right half of the series, we would get a complexity proportional to n to the power k times n by 2, because there are n by 2 terms approximately in the right half. So the whole series can be expected to have a complexity of at least n to the power k plus 1. Let's try to formalize this intuition. So we're going to prove a lower bound now. Let's start with the original series, 1 to the power k, 2 to the power k, 3 to the power k, and let me write the middle term, n by 2 to the power k, and the right half is going to terminate at n minus 1 to the power k. Now we know that every term in the right half has a complexity of n to the power k. So why not delete the first half completely? If we delete the first half, we get a series that is truncated. It starts from the middle term of the original series and goes up to n minus 1 to the power k. So this series is a lower bound on t of n. And if we are able to show that this lower bound itself has a rate of growth of n to the power k plus 1, then we would have shown that t of n is bounded from below by some constant multiple of n to the power k plus 1. So how do we deal with this truncated right half of this series? Well, we know that the first term here itself has a rate of growth of n to the power k, and every other term in this series is at least as large as the first term, because the base here of the power is growing from n by 2 to n minus 1. So every term here is at least as large as n by 2 to the power k. So why not replace every term by the first term, which is n by 2 to the power k. So let's say we write the first term as it is, but then instead of the second term, which would be n by 2 plus 1 to the power k, we modify the series to just be a constant series with every term being equal to the first term. That's n by 2 to the power k. So we are decreasing the value of all other terms. And by doing so, we would be further decreasing the value of this truncated series. So we can say that T of n is going to be greater than or equal to this modified series now. And this series evaluates to n by 2 to the power k times the number of terms in this series, which are going to be approximately n by 2, because this series is 1/2 of the original series, which had n minus 1 terms in total. So approximately this is going to be n by 2 to the power k times n by 2, and that's going to be n to the power k plus 1 divided by 2 to the power k plus 1. Now 2 and k are both constants, so we can write this as some constant c times n to the power k plus 1. So we are saying that T of n is bounded from below by a constant multiple of n to the power k plus 1. This means T of n is in big omega of n to the power k plus 1. So we have proven that T of n is in big O of n to the power k plus 1. We have proven that T of n is in big omega of n to the power k plus 1. So we have proven that T of n is in theta of n to the power k plus 1. And so the overall complexity of this series, the rate of growth of this series is theta of n to the power k plus 1, or n to the power k plus 1. There was a slightly simpler way in which we could have proven the upper bound here actually. Instead of replacing every term by the last term, we could have replaced every term including the last term by n to the power k. Because that would have allowed us to simplify this expression even further, because we said that we'll need to prove that this particular expression is less than or equal to twice of n to the power k plus 1. Well, let's make it even simpler. Let's just say that T of n is less than or equal to n minus 1 instances of the sum of n to the power k n minus 1 times, because there are n minus 1 terms in total. Well, actually, let's make it n terms. So let's assume that we modify this series by substituting n to the power k for every term, and then we add another n to the power k at the end, so that we get exactly n terms. So this series is going to be less than or equal to this resulting series. And this resulting series is equal to n to the power k plus 1, because this is going to be n times n to the power k, which is n to the power k plus 1. So T of n is less than or equal to n to the power k plus 1. And because T of n is bounded from above by a constant multiple of n to the power k plus 1, T of n is in big O of n to the power k plus 1. So you can see that there are variants of the approach that we followed here. We basically need to create a modified series that is an upper bound on the original series, and prove that the modified series grows at the rate of n to the power k plus 1. And we can do that in a number of ways. This was a slightly simpler way than the way that we originally looked at, because this will involve a little bit more calculation. Again, it's not hard to prove this, but it's definitely easier to create as simple a modified series as you can. And the simplest possible modified series is just having a series of n terms, each being n to the power k, because then that directly allows us to say that t of n is bounded from above by n to the power k plus 1, which makes that an upper bound on t of n. Okay, so we've proven that t of n is in big O of n to the power k plus 1 and in big omega of n to the power k plus 1, and therefore in in theta of n to the power k plus 1, and so we can say that this summation is in theta of n to the power k plus 1.